I've accepted the fact that I'm never going to be that person who comes home every day to a neat and tidy man cave, and I'm okay with it. There's other things in my life that are more important than worrying about this one little thing.
ADHD Rewired, episode number 34. This is the show designed to help those of us who have really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. Whether you have ADHD and you want to learn more about it, or you are looking for ways to organize your time, your things, the many details of life so you can get more done, this show is for you. My name is Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, coach, and consultant. We know that starting can be the hardest part, so let's get started. But first, let me thank our sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial. Go to audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. Check show notes for link. Hello, ADHD Rewired community. Eric Tivers here for just a couple moments before we get into today's episode with Tom Nardone. The CHAD Conference on ADHD that I will be a speaker at November 13th through the 15th in Chicago is coming up. So if you have thought about going and you're still on the fence, I really want to encourage you to attend this conference. It's November 13th through the 15th, 2014. Go to chad.org for more information. And if you are listening to this after the date, all sessions are available for purchase on the CHAD website. I am not an affiliate. I don't make any money off of those purchases. I believe that they are highly worth it. So learn as much as you can because it's one of the best things that you can do for your ADHD. And if you have not done so already, please leave a review on iTunes and let people know what you think about ADHD. Your reviews on iTunes truly do help other people find this show. So, without further delay, procrastination, or other not so funny jokes, here is today's episode with Tom Nardone. I am here with blogger Tom Nardone of tomnardone.net. He's been on a number of different podcasts. He's been a blogger for a number of years. The first time I talked to him, I asked him what is it that he wants to do, and he told me he wants to be famous. He's really funny, but he's also very real. He is mildly offensive, but he's also an all-around really nice person, which is one of the reasons I actually wanted to have him on. He's probably the best way to describe him is just he whatever he thinks he writes, with very little filter, but also he really speaks truth. So it's in a lot of ways he says things that maybe people aren't necessarily willing to say out loud, but a lot of people are thinking and having some of these experiences. I know he's been on a number of different podcasts. He has the Tom Tables, which I'll ask him about in a little bit, which is something he created to help kids learn math facts. And he recently wrote an article on his blog that went viral talking about how one of the best things for his marriage is him and his wife sleeping in separate bedrooms. So we're going to talk about a number of these things. So Tom, welcome to ADHD Rewired. How are you?
I am very well, Eric. Thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you. And with my intro, did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong?
No, it's a fine intro.
And I also want to give Tom a thank you. When I was, really in the beginning of launching the podcast, and I was trying to figure out some things with Google Hangouts because I've done a couple webinars, he hopped on and helped me. And it was then when I realized, I need to upgrade my internet because DSL and Google Hangouts don't work together. So, Tom was helpful in that kind of on the back end. So, Tom, just give people a little bit more of a flavor of who you are.
Well, I've been blogging for about a couple of years now, and I didn't ever intend to be a writer. I just started out I decided I was going to want to be a web designer and a programmer. And, having to get my site started, I had to have a site so that I could test my, programming code that I wrote. I had to have some content on it. So I wrote a story about the theory of pants, and of course in regard to laundry, that pants don't have to be washed every single laundry cycle. You can go many days or even weeks wearing the same pair of pants without running them through the laundry, so far as you change your t-shirt and the rest of your underwear, skivvies, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, I asked a few people to read it just so they could leave a comment and I could find out if it did what it was supposed to do. And apparently they really liked it, and a few people shared it, and it was kind of exciting. So I ended up writing another one, and pretty soon I just discovered that it was a lot more fun to write about things than it was to learn stupid codes and programming language. So that's really how I became a blogger. And the ADD was just something I wrote as just a random subject that I did, and it did really well. And I just kind of kept doing that, and then I decided TomNardone.net is my main, that's my site. But over the past 6 months, ADHDpeople.net, which is my other site, has just left it in the dust, and it's just really been taken off, and I've been getting a pretty good response from it. And one of the things is I was when I was at the ADDA conference meeting Kirsten Milliken there, to play ADHD. Boy, I really
wasn't your session fun?
Oh yeah, it was. It was fantastic, and and that's I love her philosophy about things, and I really couldn't believe that she was a doctor. She didn't. I mean, she's every bit of the professional. I'm sure of that, but she really just brought. It's really opened my eyes to what some of the professionals were. Not my perception of what a doctor or a professional.
Right, because Tom, you had actually said that if you knew she was a doctor, that you probably wouldn't have even attended her session. And I wonder how much of a kind of a paradigm shift that has been for you. Because I remember, I don't know if it was in a conversation that we had or if it was an interview I heard you on another podcast where you were kind of saying that, all the sciencey stuff about ADHD in the brain that you don't really care about. And I was wondering if that's shifted for you at all.
Not one bit. No. I mean, look, it's important, and people who write about that stuff, that anybody that's an ADHD writer, I really respect what they do. I mean, whether they're widely read or not read at all, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's a noble thing to do. I just don't have any interest in it at all. It's not something that interests me. I don't need to know what's happening in my head that some machine interprets as activity. It's just I don't know how many different types of ADD there are. Or
medically, there is the three presentations where you have the hyperactive impulsive subtype or presentation, the inattentive presentation, and then a combined presentation, which is the kind of both of them combined. I know that there are other people out there that have the 7 types of ADHD, and I don't know if I really buy all of that. I think it confuses a lot of the literature then.
Well, it may be true, maybe not. But all I know is that I wake up in the morning and I can't tell you what I did with my car keys. That's about as scientific as I get on my site. I don't have it. And
so you really write about the personal experience of you.
Well, that's ADHDpeople.net. Yes. I write about the people and the things that affect people. And apparently I discovered through comments and feedback from my site that what I do helps people. But to be honest with you, I love that what I do helps people. That has been an added bonus to everything I've done. It has, in many ways, kept me doing what I do. But the truth is that it's not that. It is not. It didn't begin as me wanting to help people. My main motivation has not changed since day one. What I do is to entertain people. I like people to laugh about the things I say. And with the ADD side, it is the same thing. But something else with that is I'm not trying to help people in that I want them to, I'm not trying to teach them how to be more organized or try to be more productive or try to do any of that stuff. I think all that's important,
Mm-hmm.
and if that is what their goal is, and perhaps for some of them it should be, okay, perhaps. But my goal is the people who are ADHD. I think it's important that they are happy with the person they are already. They need to feel good about who they are. I'm very honest, and I'm very.
You don't sugarcoat things.
I don't, and I can laugh at myself, and
Yes.
I am more than happy to, broadcast or put on my site, pictures of you. I mean, like as I'm sitting here now talking to you, you would not believe the swill hole that I am sitting in, and it's and I'll probably eventually clean it up. But I've been cleaning my man cave or my whatever room I'm in for 42 years. I've accepted the fact that I'm never going to be that person who comes home every day to a neat and tidy man cave, and I'm okay with it. There's other things in my life that are more important than worrying about this one little thing.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about, you wrote this article, as I mentioned in our introduction, about how you and your wife actually sleep in separate bedrooms. And I want to give you a lot of just props for acknowledging that, because I think that it's an issue that I think people are afraid to talk about. So will you share with us a little bit about why you and your wife sleep in separate bedrooms, and what has that actually done for your marriage?
Okay. Here's the thing. I'll tell you how this began. It was my wife's idea. I just came home from work one day, and she's holding a garbage bag in her hand. She was busy in our bedroom. At the time, it was our bedroom. And I went in there, and I just thought she was cleaning up, rearranging the furniture. But I noticed the absence of a lot of things. And then I see this big, giant bag that she's holding and this box. And I said, what are you doing? What are you doing, babe? And she goes, well, Tom, you're going to have to live upstairs in your man cave. That's going to have to be your new bedroom. Apparently,
She made the decision for you.
Oh, yeah, that was done. She made the decision and acted on it, and I came home to basically find my wife holding an eviction notice for me. Granted, it wasn't out of the house. It was just upstairs. And, she didn't want to share a bathroom. She didn't, she was having a tough time sleeping. Well, at first, it really bothered me. I was like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Thinking there's some, being a man, I'm thinking there's some deep-rooted problem that maybe she doesn't want to talk about. So, finally I just got tired of talking. I said, you know what, fine. And I figured, well. So I went upstairs with my stuff, and I just threw the bag on top of whatever other mess was already in there. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm just basically pouting. And I just started thinking about it. And the more I thought about it, the less I was pouting. And then I started smiling. And then I realized that I'm the king. And I'm no longer in my man cave. I'm in the land of Awesomeburg, where I have complete rule and freedom.
How long did it take you to make that shift?
15 minutes. Now, and here's the thing. I thought about every possible scenario that I go through in my daily life and factored in the whole separate bedrooms to it. And at no time did I find any cons. It was all pros. And then I got thinking all day, and about halfway through the day, I got thinking, oh, wait a minute. What if she doesn't come to the same conclusion? What if she comes to me and realizing, hey, Tom, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I think you should move back in. Now it's the opposite problem. I mean, I took to this literally like a fish to water, and now she wants to, but that never happened. So there's just so many great things about having separate bedrooms. I'll tell you what, my wife will get on these clean. I cannot stand it if my wife wakes up and complains about a mess. It may be their mess be there every day, but one day she wakes up and takes her medication or whatever.
Now, she also has ADHD?
She does. Okay. But she is the biggest difference between my ADHD and my wife's ADHD is she is not as content to live as a slob nearly as much as I am. Now, she will get up and start cleaning. Okay, sometimes it's not a lot, but I mean, when it happens, it is just awful. She gets out, and when I see her pull the bleach out, I know there is problems. Now,
no.
I'll tell you the one thing that if there's anybody that ever finds men, or I guess women, if they find themselves in this situation with their spouse, the absolute best thing you can possibly have in this circumstance is a place to hide. Okay? If you don't have your own bedroom, then, I don't know what I would do. Or I come home, like when Brett was younger and in school. He's my
and Brett is?
He's my stepson.
Okay.
There was always some kind of drama almost daily. And every now and then it wouldn't be there. But like I'm at work and it's been an awful day, and maybe I get home about 5 or 6, which means Brett's already been home for 3-4 hours. Sometimes I walk into the house and there is just all kinds of drama going on, and maybe I'm just not up for it. So I just come in with my head down and my forehead in my hand, and I just sort of put my other hand up and just show it to my wife as I walk up the stairs, which that indicates to her that, I don't know, I'm sick or have a headache or something, and I retreat to the safety of my kingdom. And
now, is that something that you kind of like negotiated and agreed upon, that's just kind of what you guys will do? No,
that's just something I did by sheer reflex.
Okay.
Upon coming into this kind of drama.
Okay.
Now, but and that's more the exception than not the rule. Normally, I was the disciplinarian, and when I came home, it just I just basically would just clear the room. Yvonne, go to your room. Brett, go to your room, and that whatever. No, but sometimes I just didn't want to be involved in it, and I had a place to go because it's not that I'm a lazy stepdad. I was a good stepdad. What it is that I'm not in a position to be really effective as a stepdad because of the day I've had at work. I don't want to take any of that stress or irritation and visit that on Brett or on Yvonne.
Tom, the one thing that it really strikes me about you, from what I know of you, is that you just fully really accept who you are, and you make the best out of the stuff that maybe is a struggle for you. You just, instead of you sitting and kind of pouting about how things should be and feeling shouldy about that, you just basically say, here's what I do, here's how I am, and this is what I'm going to do with it. And I just think that's a really positive way to be in a lot of ways.
Well, and it's, I'm the person, I'm the kids that I went to middle school or elementary school and middle school and even some in high school I kind of described all of them as the architects of Tom Nardone.
How so?
Well, because I never really got a break until I quit caring. In the 11th grade, I got into, I heard Ronnie James Dio sing a song called The Last in Line. I saw the video for it, and that changed everything for me. And I started listening to heavy metal, and I just really didn't consciously do it. I just no longer cared about anybody or anything, and I just said, you know what, to hell with it. I don't want to bother with, all of these people that I've been worried about to accept me for 10 years. I don't want to be their friends anyway. Why would I want to hang out with people that would treat somebody else like that? And what I found was that the quote unquote drug users and headbangers at my high school, maybe they were all those things, but you know what they were? They were not judgmental. They accepted me for who I was before I, got into that anyway. I mean, they always had, and now it felt right. And so I basically had like 2 friends in high school, and that was plenty for me. And I think that I just learned all those years that it really, the only thing that caring about what anybody else thought about me, the only thing that did was made me feel insecure, and it made me feel unaccepted.
How about the people like your wife who from what I understand, really accept you for who you are?
Obviously, I love my wife. She is the finest human being I've ever met in my life. She is the perfect wife for me. She cracks me up daily. I love her. When I write my process for when I write my blog, it doesn't get any better for me than if I'm sitting in my easy chair and she's sitting in the sofa right next to me, trying to learn how to play Freebird on the ukulele. And so she plays and sings, and I'm telling you, I love that. She's got a whole book of songs, and she just goes through and plays them. And I don't even like the songs, most of them, but I like the way she does them. And it's a very relaxing. It's as good as it gets for Tom Nardone.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But I like myself, and I love who I am. And and you're right. The ADD thing, I've learned that there's two ways you can handle it. You can rack your brain and spend your whole life trying to achieve something that, after 42 years of trying to do something, you need to accept the fact that, hey, maybe this isn't going to happen. So what are you all the time that you're spending worrying about whether your room is straightened up, what could you be doing that you might be able to do well if you didn't have that kind of nonsense?
Right, or can you put your energy in a better place?
Yeah, or whatever it is that you have a problem with. Look, if here, just be honest with yourself. If you've been trying to do something for 40 years and you haven't done it yet, give up. Do something else. There's something you can do. It's just not that.
Tom, I often use the expression fail forward. And it's the idea of it's okay if what you try doesn't work. That in itself is a valuable lesson. Take it as feedback. If something you're doing is not working, that's okay. It doesn't mean you as a person are a failure. It means that you failed at that thing, and that's okay. So you either got to try something different or try it in a different way. And I think that's so powerful. I think a lot of us get stuck in thinking how things should be and how it's supposed to be, and comparing ourselves to others. I mean, I think one of the best ways to make yourself miserable is to compare yourself to others and compare yourself in the light of, okay, what is so-and-so doing and I can't do it. It's like, so what? Why don't you look at what you can do and what others aren't and focus on that? Because that's where we're going to really feel not just good about ourselves, but actually, add value to the world that we live in. So I want to go back a little bit and talk about some of the other benefits. And you talked about within the first 15 minutes that you saw the value of having separate bedrooms. Mm-hmm. And so how long has it been now since you've had separate bedrooms?
8 years, 9 years.
Okay. And so tell us some of the other benefits that you have found for having separate bedrooms.
Okay. TV. Now, we don't even have television service now. We're all just about Netflix and downloaded TV shows. But, when we did have the TV, it was, and this never really came up because it was so early on that the thing. But, I like a friend of mine at work, I said, hey, are you going to watch, whatever, Breaking Bad, whatever it was, tonight? No, my wife's, she's going to be watching this. And I'm like, yeah,
Desperate Housewives.
Whatever, yeah. And now look, and the thing about my wife, she's fantastic, but we don't share the same kind of TV shows. She will watch whatever garbage the networks churn out because it's on. American Idol, she watches that show. I cannot stand that show. When she would watch it on the DVR in the den, and she heard me coming down the steps, out of a courtesy, she would just pause it. Because she didn't, for two reasons. One, to be courteous, and two, she didn't want to hear any of my comments I had to say about what, so it served both purposes. But, there's never, she can go to sleep whenever she wants to go to sleep. I can do the same. I can get up when I want to get up. I can, we have complete and total, we do. We spend time together every day, every morning. If we're both off or if one of us is off and the other one goes in late or we're both of us going late, we always spend time in the morning. We do talk. We hang out. We probably, and I get up and I walk out there and I see her downstairs sitting on the sofa because she's already gotten up before me. It's such a pleasure to see her, to greet her in the morning, say, hey, good morning. How'd you, it's not like I need to be in the same, geographical location of the house all night. That to me, I get that some people get used to sleeping with somebody else, so they are more comfortable doing that. Look, I get that, but it's just there's no escape, and as one of the problems with the biggest issue I've ever had with my ADHD is my irritability, and it's still a problem. My medication dramatically helps it, but it still is a problem, and I do get irritable. And there are some days that I come home and I just need, because I talk all day. I work at Home Depot, and I teach people all day about how to do all kinds of things. There's like nothing I don't know how to do to a house or build. Okay, but that's what I do all day.
I wish I had that skill set.
But I talk all day to all these different people, and there are some days I come home and I don't want to talk. I don't, I mean, it's different. I mean, I don't want to audibly talk to somebody, and I don't want to have to listen to somebody, and
you need to decompress.
I do. I need to play Battle for Middle-earth 2 on Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth 2 on my computer, and just destroy some villages, on the computer game, and that kind of calms me down a little bit. Maybe I'll watch a little bit of TV. Maybe I'll write something. Sometimes that relaxes me, depending on what it is.
Tom, let me interject there really quickly, because one of the ways that we can interject, or we can relax and kind of decompress, is through an audiobook. And I just want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor. Well, I asked Tom if he had any recommendations for you guys for books, but he shared with me he doesn't really read. But he did kind of like the idea of listening to audiobooks. So he wasn't able to share any specific recommendations with you guys. So I went onto Audible and looked for a recommendation for you. And I noticed they have the book now, and I don't know if this was recently added to Audible or I just hadn't noticed it before. The Explosive Child by Ross Greene. Now, I know that a lot of you as adults with ADHD have parents with ADHD. And as a clinician, The Explosive Child is probably one of the best books that informs my practice, because it's looking at a kid's behavior through the lens of lagging skills. If you are a parent and you have been trying Plan A, which is my way or the highway, and that hasn't been working for you, The Explosive Child talks all about Plan B, which begins with empathy and helping kids by inviting them to take part in problem solving. I can't recommend this book enough. I think that this book could also be given another title for how to negotiate and get along with your spouse as well. Change some of the words and some of the content and stories, but this book is available on Audible. Get your free download at audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. And if you have a suggestion for a book you think the rest of the ADHD Rewired community should listen to, go to the ADHD Rewired Facebook community and share your suggestion. I want to know what you've been listening to. And now, back to our interview. And we are back. So we were talking about decompression, coming home after work, and that's just what you do. So you watch some TV, get online, play some video games. So I think it's so powerful that you and your wife have this wonderful relationship that might not look like other people's relationship, and it sounds like you guys are pretty happy.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
It's just really amazing when we take a step back and say, okay, what is it supposed to be like? What does society tell us how it should look? And say, what works for me and what works for us? Part of ADHD Rewired is really looking at, okay, let's try to find the strategies that are going to work for ourselves as individuals, but I think take that into our relationships as well, and move it into the what is going to work for us in a relationship. So, Tom, I did talk to you on, I think it was Friday, letting you know that I wanted to talk to you about this whole issue of sleeping in separate bedrooms. And now I'm going to share with the ADHD Rewired community something that I've never shared before. And I talked to my wife about it an hour ago to make sure that this was okay. What I wanted to share is that my wife and I also sleep in separate bedrooms. Now I'm like imagining the gasps of people listening. Really? What's wrong with your marriage? Nothing. And similar, so you got over it in 15 minutes. When my wife first suggested it, and this was her idea, I was not on board with it. That was really hard for me, actually. And so a little background. So my wife is the kind of person who needs 8 hours of sleep or she turns into a pumpkin. So my wife is wonderful, especially when she gets 8 hours of sleep. So she's a person that needs a lot of sleep. And then we have a 3-year-old who might be the worst sleeper in the neighborhood. And she's a stay-at-home mom, so she's the one that gets up with my son. And she is very protective of my sleep because I'm the bread earner in the family. And so the first time we hear him on the monitor, she will get up and so it doesn't disturb me, which is amazing of her. And so we were experimenting a little bit with me sleeping in another room or on the couch for a few days, and she really, really liked it. But what was interesting was that she felt like she didn't have to jump out of bed, so she was able to fall asleep more quickly. And what I noticed is that when my wife got more sleep, I enjoyed being around her a lot more as well. So, it took a little bit of this adjustment period, kind of getting over what does that mean about us if we can't sleep in separate bedrooms? I share with my community that I have a lot of sleep issues. One of the bigger ones is that I stay up too late, and I keep making improvements, and I'm still not where I want to be. And my wife goes to bed earlier than I do. She goes to bed as soon as she puts our son down. And so that's, when I get into bed, that might disturb her. And I'm kind of a restless sleeper, and that disturbs her.
How long has this been going on?
How long have we been in separate bedrooms?
Yeah.
Maybe. My sense of time frame, 6 months, maybe 4 to 6 months.
It rocks, doesn't it?
I'm telling you, it's actually fantastic. It's one of these things where if we actually do some research as to what why we sleep in the same bedroom, it actually has to do with economic reasons, and that historically it was very odd for married couples to sleep in the same bedroom. It's sleeping in the same bedroom with someone and sharing a bed, it disturbs your sleep. I mean, in a sense, this is a medical issue that we need to get as much quality sleep, undisturbed sleep as possible. And what is one of the best ways to disturb your sleep is share your bed with somebody. So it's one of these things that I love having these moments where it's like I'm really strong on one side, and then I'm kind of shown the light, and now I'm completely on the other side. So, and I was hesitant to even share it, and I'm like, you know what? These are the types of things that people really need to hear about because.
How do you feel?
Great.
You've come out. The world knows.
I've come out of the closet that my wife and I have improved our marriage through sleeping in separate beds.
Well, like they say, separation makes the heart grow fonder. Somebody said that way before I came up, or my wife came up with this idea.
Well, and let me actually mention too one of the reasons why I think it's also been helpful for me. So for me, if there are any barriers to getting myself to get to bed, I'm gonna kind of fall into that sleep procrastination, where it's So one of the barriers for me was I had to be really, really quiet getting into bed. So that was required a lot of self-control and self-restraint. Yeah. And now that I don't have to do that, I actually look forward to getting into bed.
You can do the 3 steps and jump if you want. Whatever you want.
Yeah, so it's really been an unexpectedly positive thing for our marriage.
And it's like when I was when I was writing my book, I sometimes I would start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't have any plans for how long I was going to do it. I just did it until I didn't want to do it anymore. And sometimes it was, I didn't even realize it, but I heard Yvonne getting up to go to work the next morning, and I look at my window, and it's light outside, and I didn't even realize it because my back's to the window, and I'm staring at my monitor,
wow.
Doing this thing. And, I mean, of course, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. I probably wouldn't, with my book, I would not probably have happened without us having separate bedrooms. I mean, there's just no way she would have put up with me sitting there taking that amount of time, with the glowing screen from my laptop in the it just wouldn't have worked.
It reminds me of how I was in college. how many sunrises I've seen just staying
Oh,
up
yeah.
working. So now, is your book out?
No, it is going to be published. I found that out a while back, and I'm hoping. I'm supposed to get it back today. That has the final notes in it for any corrections. It's really silly that I wrote it in. Well, I wrote the first draft in like 6 days. I mean, I did nothing, but I mean, I couldn't wait to. I'd get up and I'd go to sleep after writing for like 13 hours. And I just set my alarm to make sure I got up early enough the next day to get a full day. So, I was so – I don't know that I've ever been more focused on anything. And
behold the power of hyperfocus.
Oh, I know. And I didn't even – I honestly, I sat down in my chair and started writing it without even believing that I was actually going to finish it. I didn't believe it. I just said I was just really just curious how long I would go. But I was on vacation. I really had nothing better to do.
Can you share the title with us yet?
I would love to share the title with all of you, and I will as soon as I come up with one. Honestly, I've kicked a few of them around. Now, obviously, what I wanted to call the book was I Am Tom Nardone. It seems to me to be the most appropriate title, but look, I'm not a marketing guy. Most of the ventures that I've gone out on in terms of money and making money, they generally fail. So my editor said that that's probably not the best title, so I'm just going to do something different, and I'm just going to listen to somebody else on that. Now, I'm not going to, allow a title that I don't like, and there are certain things with the book that I, have been put to me as, maybe this isn't the best idea, and I said, well, it's not like I'm just, they're very good people that I'm working with, and they're trying to help me, but they're not like, tyrants that insist it just be this, and this, because if that were the case, then I would just post an 80,000 word blog on my website tomorrow morning and just be done with this whole thing and not have to deal with the headache. But it's a 6-day project that I did that has turned into a 1-year just headache, to be honest with you. The book is fantastic. The people who have read it have absolutely loved it, and I couldn't be more pleased with their feedback. But I don't know that there's another one in me, because I don't know if I'm going to put. I'm glad I didn't know a year ago what I would be talking about today, because I would have never written it. I don't think I would have. I'm glad I did. I'm glad it's done. I'm very proud of what I did. But I'm just saying, knowing myself, I wouldn't have bothered with it if I knew what it was going to involve for the whole
I've heard a lot of authors say the same thing, but yet they keep writing more and more books. So you never know.
You never know.
Maybe you can create like a survey monkey or something in a Google survey and ask your audience. You could ask the ADHD Rewired community, put out some options for the titles that you like, and see what other people say.
Yeah, I thought about doing a contest for whoever comes up with a decent title for it.
A good launch strategy.
Free book, yeah, free book or whatever. But I'm not opposed to that. It's just I want to make sure we're closer to where we need to be before I probably get in that, and I may or may not do that. And I don't know how much time we have left, but how much time we have left?
We are going to be wrapping up very shortly. We're going to be moving into the final part of our show. Was there something else you wanted to mention?
You had asked me before the show to talk about the Tom tables.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. That's
okay. This is actually an app that I wrote for. I call it an app. I guess it is. It's nothing to download. It's a Flash file that I have figured out how to make a website display, and it doesn't work on phones or iPads or Androids, and I don't know how to make it do that. If I did, it'd be doing it. But it's a Flash file, so if you know how to convert a Flash file to an iPod app, then you just get with me offline.
So now, what does it do?
Well, it's a Star Wars kind of a theme, and I actually found the master audio files on the internet for all the sound effects, and it's complete with sound. The whole thing is animated, and basically what it is it's online flashcards for kids to learn their timetables with. When I was in the 3rd grade, one of the biggest challenges I ever had, and I remember as a 3rd grader sitting in my room trying to learn these things with these flashcards, and I would lose some of the flashcards, or I couldn't find any of them, and I'd have to keep remaking them, and didn't know which ones I had or didn't have, and I'd have to line them up and count them. And I mean, it was just and plus, even when I did have them all, I had a lot of time learning them because I didn't really care about them because it was boring.
Yeah.
So my idea was to make online flashcards and do it in a way that would be fun and exciting. And I just kind of chose a Star Wars theme for it, and it's got the X-wing fighters and the TIE fighters flying around. And when you basically click 4 times 8, and then it fires it. When you click 4 times 8, it'll fire a little laser blast, and the 32 pops up in the window. So it's just kind of a way to keep, to make it as fun as I know how to make it. That's it.
And where can people find this?
Well, it's at tomtables.com. I had it as on my website, but then I got to thinking, well, maybe it's not such a great idea to direct third graders to my website. So
that's probably a wise.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. I didn't really put that together until way late in the game, and I got to thinking, it's not that there's anything. I mean, chances are a third grader's not even going to read it or understand it, maybe, but hell, maybe they would. So I figured. So I just got a new URL, and it's just tomtables.com. It's the only thing on the site. When you go to the site, the app will just start up. You don't have to download anything, or I don't know if your browser's not equipped to do Flash. It may ask you to equip it or whatever. But there's no pop-ins. And one thing about this site is true about all my sites, is that I don't judge people who run ads on their websites. I think it's a fine thing to do. I think that people who want to do this full time, if that's a way they can make an income, to allow themselves to do it full time, I think that's fantastic. But I'm not an ADHD professional, and I don't ever want my motivations to be called into question. And I don't call anybody's motivation into question because they have ads on. I'm just
it's ad free.
All my stuff is ad free.
And is the app free, or is it you pay for
the app? Well, the app is free. If anybody that goes to that site, the app will just automatically begin. Wow. When you go to tomtables.com, the ad just the app just starts right up. Cool. There's nothing to download.
And I'll put a link to that in the show notes of this episode, which will. I've actually done some back work that my website is allowing finally to do normal kind of URLs, because I use Wix, which is what I created my website on, and they use a platform called Ajax, which creates all these funky letters in the URL. But now I can finally do, I guess it's called a 301 redirect. So I'm still waiting to be able to move over ADHDrewired.com, but in the meantime, you can go to erictivers.com/episode 34 or 35, depending on which episode this ends up being. And you'll find the show notes there and get the link to Tom Tables. Before we get back to the interview, I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you. You who's maybe in the car or at the gym. You're listening to me in your earbuds. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to my voice. I also want to talk to you about your day. Are you getting everything done that you want to get done? How many things are on your list still that have been there day after day, maybe even week after week? I do know what it's like because I have been there and I still am there sometimes. Have you considered a coach? Maybe you are a coach and you want to help your clients achieve their goals, but sometimes your own ADHD might be getting in your way. I really want you to think about and then invite you to come to my website and sign up for a free 20-minute consultation to talk to me to see if coaching is right for you. Now, I waited years until I started my podcast, and as I always say, starting is the hardest part. So just get started. Go to erictivers.com and click the request an appointment icon. I look forward to bringing your life to the next level. So, Tom, we're going to move into the very last part of this show. And I don't know if you've listened to the last few episodes, but there is a part of this show that I call the random question round. This is the part of the show that has nothing to do with ADHD, which then paradoxically has everything to do with ADHD.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. If you were in a band, what would the name of the band be?
The Tom Nardone Band.
Of course it would. Best concert ever.
Kiss and Motley Crue, 2013.
Awesome. Can you name all 4 Ninja Turtles?
Can name none of them.
Not even one?
Not even, I can't think of any of them.
Okay. What is 8 times 3?
24.
Must be those Tom tables. Were you ever suspended from school?
Never in my life.
Wow. I don't know why I said wow like that was a surprise, but...
Well, I get it. It makes sense. I was usually too afraid to do anything. I'd get suspended.
So I'll tell you, I've been suspended from school. Okay, let's see. Do I have any other questions that I want to ask you? What is your favorite thing to cook?
A can of beans.
All right, and my final question will be, and I've asked this of a lot of our guests because I think it's a fun question. If you can invent something, what would it be?
A pill that only allows me to hear things that I am interested in.
Wait a minute. Doesn't that kind of happen naturally?
No. I am frequently hearing people talk where I just sit politely and wait for their lips to stop moving so that I can say okay and walk away.
Tom Nardone, thank you so much for coming on ADHD Rewired.
Oh, this was a lot of fun.
I really appreciate you coming on. You were really fun to talk with.
That is the pleasure is all mine. It was you're the first person I met at the conference, man, and I could not have been more flattered when you stuck a microphone in front of my face there. So this is a big deal to me, and I really, really appreciate you having me on. This is a really big deal to me.
Well, guys, you guys can check out Tom Nardone's stuff. Go to tomnardone.net, or the other one is ADHDpeople.net.
It is.
All right. I got that one from memory.
All
and
right.
Tom is a member of our ADHD Rewired Facebook community, so you can also chat with him there. So, Tom, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and we will talk again soon.
Absolutely.
Well, ADHD Rewired community, as always, I want to thank you for listening, and for all of you who have taken the time to leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. It does really help in people finding this podcast. So thank you. Do you have a story to share about your ADHD? If you want to be a guest on ADHD Rewired, go to ADHDrewired.com and click the yellow Be a Guest bar. Are you looking for a coach? Schedule a free 20-minute consultation with me. It's super easy. Just go to erictivers.com and click on the blue Request an Appointment bar. We're on Facebook. Like our page, but submit a request to join our free online community at Facebook. These are 2 separate pages. When you submit your request, don't forget to look in your other inbox because I will ask you a few questions before I invite you in. The 2014 CHAD Conference on ADHD is coming to Chicago really, really, really soon. November 13th through the 15th, 2014. It's in the Chicago area. Choose from over 70 sessions, including mine, Productivity 2.0, Getting Things Done with ADHD, strategies, apps, and other tools for getting things done with ADHD. Do you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions on what would make ADHD Rewired even better? Go to ADHDrewired.com and use the contact form on that page. It's accountability time. I am on track with my goal to get home at 7:45 p.m. Last week, my goal was to make it home twice by this time, and I did it thrice. I don't know if that's really a word, but 3 times. And this week, my goal still is to be home twice. And as of Wednesday, October 22nd, I've done it once. So I am right on track for my goals, and I will continue to update you on how I am doing with that. To the members of the ADHD Rewired online coaching group, and to everyone else, consider this. To learn is to know, but to teach is to understand. To everybody in the group, I am looking forward to hearing everyone's mini presentations on lessons that you've learned. When you're thinking about the goals you want to achieve, try to imagine it and talk about it like you've already achieved it by using language that says, for example, I am a person who plans. Your brain will begin to believe it. If you say, I will or I want to, your brain turns that into something that will happen one day, so it's always in the future. So even if you are not planning or exercising or getting home at a reasonable hour or getting to bed when you want to, or whatever it is you want to be doing, when you think about yourself as a person who does these things, you begin to believe it. And much of our success can be attributed to what we believe is possible. And you'll never believe what you can do until you actually do it. This is Eric Tivers thanking you for listening to ADHD Rewired. Until next time.